Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. You know, this one's, might be becoming a little obsolete. Today is National Camera Day. So you look at it and you look at the images. When was the last time you saw somebody walking around with a Canon camera or Nikon or, and I am here in Southern California, maybe 4 or 5 miles from Disneyland. You would think that if it was National Camera Day, we'd probably see a lot of cameras. Nah. Josh, do you see a lot of cameras there in Vegas? Just on the phones, all right? I mean, everyone's got the camera right on their phone, but who has a camera that's a standalone camera anymore? Okay, let's move on. National Waffle Iron Day. Another one. Do I want the waffle iron or do I want the waffle? Just give me the waffle, butter, syrup, throw a little whipped cream on top. That's the way I roll. And having beaten anorexia, National Almond Butter Crunch Day. I guess the almond, isn't that almond roca? I mean, isn't that basically the same thing? English toffee. I like English toffee. Go over to C's and get some English toffee. It's almond butter crunch. Doesn't go very well with the shots that I've been taking. And maybe a bite or two here and there. But if you're thinking about losing some weight, getting on a program, rsrlinks.com/aminopep, rsrlinks.com/aminopep. We've got some great articles we've shared, published right there on the site. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. We've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 255 points. Yahoo! Yeah, that's a good one. NASDAQ is up 375 points. Yeah, that's a good one too. The S&P 500 is up 67. Oil up $1.51 a barrel. We don't like that one. Gold is down another $62 an ounce. $4,024 an ounce right now on gold. We look at the 10-year Treasury is up 1 basis point, 4.38. And the mortgage bond down 3 basis points. Par 59 on that 5.5 mortgage bond. Gas prices. Do we want to look at gas prices as we go into the holiday? National average, $3.86 a gallon of gasoline, $3.86. A month ago, we were at $4.39. California, we're at $5.45 a gallon. A month ago, we were at $6.06. So we are heading in the right direction. Although, we've got to watch it just because we're watching all these things that are going on in the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on in the Middle East. I'm going to share with you, the Strait they're finding other ways of dealing with the Strait. So they're not getting the amount of tankers going through the Strait as we were at one time, but does it matter? And you see that they don't deal with, in the Middle East, they don't deal with issues the same as we do in California or in the United States. They don't have to deal with OSHA. They don't have to deal with all these permits. They're not dealing with all these things where it takes 10 years to build a pipeline. They start it, they get going, they get done. Throw some more money at it, throw some more bodies at it. We'll get that thing going. And if you watch, Saudi Arabia got their pipeline going so that they're not having to deal with the Strait. United Arab Emirates getting other alternatives in their way of getting gasoline and oil out to the natural gas and oil out of without dealing with the Strait. So all of these things are happening, and they happen, a lot quicker over there than they happen over here, just because they don't have all the government regulation to deal with. So watch all of that stuff. What it'll mean for you, what it'll mean for all of us, is that the Strait of Hormuz will become less and less important, and Iran will have less and less controls, which is good news. We don't need them to have any more control than what they already have, and we just need to watch it and see what's going on. So that's all good stuff going on in the Middle East. I saw that there were some strikes over the weekend, tit for tat out there. And I'll just share, I don't get it. I don't know why the president continues to give these characters the control or whatnot. It's one of the things that Israel has done well for many, many years. If you are a believer in Israel and if you're not part of this socialist movement that's going on in the Democrat Party. So Israel basically says they're a small country. If you're going to attack us, we're going to attack you back tenfold. Well, do you think that if President Trump said the same thing, you're going to attack one tanker? Well, we're going to attack 10 of yours. I venture to guess that will be the only deterrent that Iran understands. They don't understand the way most people do, the way most countries do, because they've got a different ideology. They think about things differently than we do. If we would start understanding that, we might get a little further along. Just throw that out there for you. Unbelievable how it's continuing to go on as we continue working here. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, you can keep $500,000 tax-free when you sell your home. We'll talk about the rules there. 3 generations, 1 roof, 1 mortgage, the math most families miss. Here's what nobody tells you about that perfect beach rental and the one factor that explains everything happening with home prices right now. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. Every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, an interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. We do not tell you points paid, points received, or the APR. We only tell you the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payments. Let's see what the rates did. This would be Friday's numbers, latest available. Conventional 30-year fixed, 6.411, that was down. Jumbo 30-year fixed, 6.45, that was down. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.262, that was up. VA 30-year fixed, 6.09, that was up. And the USDA 30-year fixed, 6.197, that one was down. Now, if you want to know our thoughts about the market, each and every business day morning, rsrlinks.com/HBOD, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. What are the markets doing today? Well, the S&P 500 is up 62.5 points. The 10-year Treasury up 1 basis point, 4.38. And we got the mortgage bond down 4 basis points. Remember, that bond goes down, rates go up. It is just mathematics, nothing more. So what's driving all of this? Well, oil prices higher over the weekend on news of strikes back and forth between the U.S. and Iran, but they've since come back down. We are looking at West Texas Intermediate at $70.73 per barrel after the U.S. official said that both sides would pause hostilities and allow commercial vessels to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices have shown a lot of resiliency, especially with the uncertainty and the fragile nature of the ceasefire. The U.S. and Iran are scheduled to have more talks tomorrow in Qatar, so we'll see what happens there. ICE Home Price Index released their home price index for June, showing that home prices increased in value by 1.32% year over year nationwide, which is up from 1.03. More importantly, home prices appreciated 0.29% in June, which is seasonally adjusted figure and contemplates a busier time of year. Annualized, that figure portends 3.5% year over year appreciation, which is meaningful. It's a nice pickup from the rear view mirror. 3.5%. Think about that. So we've got $1 million plus is the median home price here in Southern California. 3.5%. Now, remember, the 3.5% appreciation is on the $1 million. Now, if you only put down 100,000, say, and you've got $35,000 on that million, but $35,000 on the 100,000, that's a lot of money. So think about that based on cash, the return on cash, not necessarily just the return on that smaller number. Now, we also look at a very, very misleading article from the Wall Street Journal.
You know better than that.
They released an article, why you're probably overpaying for your mortgage, where they compare borrowers' rates to the benchmark bank rate. They said that 80 to 90% of borrowers overpaid on their mortgage because most went with the first rate option presented to them and did not shop. Now, we've been telling you for ages, strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. So right now, because most forecasts say that we're going to see interest rates coming down, maybe not this year, but probably the early part of next year. Well, the idea there is don't take that benchmark rate. So we shared with you a little bit ago that on a jumbo 30-year fixed rate, 6.45%. But why would you take that if you think that rates are going to come down? That generally is including some points. Your strategy might be, hey, you know something? I'm going to put less money down. I'm going to take a higher interest rate, and I'm going to watch and see, because that's what my strategy calls for, restructuring that down the road. We're doing that with lots and lots of folks. One of my dearest friends, we restructured his loan 6 months ago or 7 months ago, and we did it with no cost. So he paid a little extra money. Well, now we're doing it again with no cost. So he's saving money. Now you say, well, Ron, you reset the clock on that to another 30 years. No, because that's not the strategy. What the strategy is, and here's the way we look at restructuring home loans. Very, very simple. So don't listen to the Wall Street Journal. That's the bottom line there, because they don't know what you're looking to accomplish. We have three very, very strong metrics that we look at when we're looking at restructuring a home loan. First one, are you going to be there for 2 or more years? No sense in doing anything short term. If you're going to be there 2 or more years, that is item 1. Item 2, can we save you 5% on your payment? I don't care about what rates are. Can we save you 5% on your payment? That's item 2. And item 3, if you will continue making the exact same payment you're making pre-restructure, can we save you 3 years on the payment term? So 3 very, very structured items. It's not like, what are your feelings? What do you think? It's, can we accomplish 3 goals that are very, very fixed and numbers that we can really look at cleanly? 2 years or more, 5% savings. And if you make the same payment, can we save you 3 or more years on your duration? All very simple stuff. Now, the Wall Street Journal doesn't even mention that because they're not strategists. So if you're thinking about short term, well, if you think short rates are going to drop short term, well, you should be going with a higher rate and try to pay as little upfront costs as possible. What really matters is what your strategy is. The lowest rate on the wrong strategy is a lot more expensive than a competitive rate on the right strategy. Total cost of the loan for the period of time you're planning on having that mortgage is most important. And we've got all kinds of tools to demonstrate this for you. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Let's see, you found it. The perfect rental, ocean view, great price, available exactly the week you want. You send the deposit and then the host goes quiet because the house was never theirs to rent. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Now, I usually talk about mortgages and building wealth. And part of building wealth is protecting the money you already have. And vacation season is prime time for one of the fastest growing scams out there. Here are the numbers. The Federal Trade Commission says that since 2020, people have filed 65,000 reports of vacation rental fraud. Ow! Total losses, $65 million. The average victim lost about $1,000. That's real money. Chunk of someone's vacation budget gone before they ever pack a bag. So what does this mean for you? Let me walk you through the 5 scams to watch for and the simple moves that stop them. Number 1, the phantom listing. Scammers steal photos and details from a real listing and advertise a place that does not exist or is not actually available. You pay, the listing vanishes, and your money's almost impossible to get back. The fix? Be careful with listings that have few reviews, just a couple of photos, or a price that seems too low for the area. Real listings have detailed descriptions, lots of photos, and a track record of happy guests. Number 2, the off-platform payment request. The host asks you to pay outside the booking site. They say it saves on fees or it just easier. What they're really doing is pulling you somewhere with no protection. And here's the line that should end the conversation. If anyone asks you to pay by wire transfer, gift card, cryptocurrency, or a peer-to-peer app, walk away. If anyone asks you to pay by wire transfer, gift card, cryptocurrency, or peer-to-peer app, walk away. Yes, I said it twice, so you hear it clearly. Those payments are nearly impossible to reverse. Number 3, the too good to be true price. A beautiful property priced far below everything below is not a lucky break. It is bait. Compare it to similar rentals in the area. If it is way cheaper, book somewhere else. Number 4, the fake website. Scammers build convincing copies of well-known booking sites with the real logos and layout. Before you type a single payment detail, make sure you are on the official site. When in doubt, type the web address into your browser yourself instead of clicking a link from an ad, an email, or a text. Number 5, the last-minute switch. The host suddenly says your place is double booked or has a maintenance problem, then offers a different property or asks you to cancel the booking yourself. You keep every message and pay inside the booking platform so there is a record. If a host pressures you to switch or cancel, contact the platform's customer support before you agree to anything. Now, here's why this matters to me as a lender. The single most dangerous move in that whole list is the wire transfer. I see the exact same scam at home buyers at closing. A criminal sends fake wiring instructions. The buyer wires their down payment and the money is gone. Same trick, bigger number. So whether you're booking a beach house or buying a home, the rule is the same. Slow down. Verify the instructions directly. Never wire money based on an email alone. A few more ways to book safely. Stay inside the official platform from search to checkout. Verify the property by searching the address online and comparing photos. Be careful with your personal information. And when you can, use a credit card. Credit cards give you stronger dispute protection than a debit card, a wire, or a payment app, which means more options if something goes wrong. Being informed is not an obstacle to a great vacation. It is what makes a great vacation possible. Protecting your money is the first step in building wealth. If you want a simple place to organize your budget, your accounts, and your next financial moves, I want to give you a tool I offer. Go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's rsrlinks.com/keysteps. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Your Credit Matters segment brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. rsrlinks.com/debt-free. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the number one factor that explains everything happening with home prices right now, you can keep $500,000 tax-free when you sell your home. Here's the rule. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. The number one factor that explains everything happening with home prices right now. You've probably heard that home prices are cooling off, and that's true nationally. But zoom in on individual markets across the country, and the picture looks completely different depending upon where you are. Do you want a report on your home's value? rsrlinks.com/myhome, rsrlinks.com/myhome. Send you a report once a month with the value of your property and give you all kinds of details right there as to how we come up with that value. rsrlinks.com my home. So some areas are still seeing solid price growth. Others have gone flat. You've actually dipped slightly negative. So what's causing all of that variation? It all comes down to inventory. Here's the simple version. 1, when there are more homes for sale, buyers have options. Number 2, more options means less competition. Number 3, less competition means sellers can't push prices as high. On the flip side, when inventory is tight, buyers are competing over a small pool of homes, and that pushes prices up. That dynamic is playing out right now in a really visible way across the country. Markets where inventory has climbed back to or above normal pre-pandemic levels are seeing prices flatten or fall slightly. Markets where inventory is still well below those 2019 benchmarks are still seeing prices rise, as Lance Lambert, CEO of Resi Club, puts it, quote, home prices are still climbing a little year over year in many regions where active inventory remains well below pre-pandemic levels. That's the 2019 levels, such as pockets in the Northeast and Midwest. In contrast, some pockets in states like Texas, Florida, and Colorado, where active inventory exceeds pre-pandemic 2019 levels by a solid clip, are seeing modest home price pullbacks or flat pricing, unquote. So if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of where inventory stands today compared to 2019. Most places, that's the states in gray in the chart, inventory still falls short of where we were back then, and that's exactly why prices are climbing, albeit moderately, in the vast majority of the states. But you're probably more interested in where prices are falling a bit, since that's what is making headlines. So let's prove how much inventory affects prices in those spots. According to Realtor.com, 15 states and Washington, D.C. are now back above pre-pandemic inventory levels, and some by a wide margin. That's the orange part of the chart. Okay, you can see that there. Now let's look at the latest Federal Housing Finance Agency data to see what's happening to home prices in the same states over the past year. Again, you want to focus on the orange in the next chart that we're showing you. See how those line up. The overlap isn't a coincidence. It's cause and effect. Price changes follow inventory changes. The national average of 1.7% price growth is accurate, but it's an average of two very different stories happening at the same time. The few areas experiencing mild declines and the overwhelming majority that are still seeing prices rise. What this means, if you're buying or selling, if you're a buyer, the market you're shopping in matters a lot right now. Places like Texas, Colorado, and Florida, you may have real negotiating power, more choices, less competition, and sellers who are motivated to make a deal. In tighter markets, much of the Northeast, you're still likely facing a lot of competition. If you're a seller, pricing strategy is everything. That would be rsrlinks.com/salesmax. rsrlinks.com/salesmax. Get your house on streaming TV. We do it for agents we work with for free. Make sure that every agent in the area is motivated to show your house. We show you how. Get the most money for your house. rsrlinks.com/salesmax. rsrlinks.com/salesmax. In markets where inventory has risen, overpricing is one of the fastest ways to linger on the market and eventually sell for less than you would have with the right price from day one. In markets where inventory is still low, you're in a strong spot, but getting your price right still matters. If you want to attract serious buyers quickly, either way, that's where a local real estate agent earns their keep. And I know the agents that are actually doing business all over the country. I have report cards on every one of them. Yes, I do. I have the report card on every single one. All you have to do is send us a message. We'll get it to you. Bottom line, when it comes to prices, where you are matters more than ever right now. And local real estate agent is the best person to help you make sense of it. Reach out today and let's build a plan that fits your specific market. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. And hey, if you're watching our socials, every weekend we put out for, I think they're up to 23 different cities right now, something like that. 23 cities. We're putting out a list of open houses that are going on for that weekend in those cities. And I just started over the weekend. In addition to the 23 cities that we're putting that out on, whenever we put out a city, we've got a housing market report for that city. So if you're in Newport Beach, you can go to the open house lists that we put out for Newport Beach, California, and there's a housing market report right in there. If you're in Indio, California, if you're in La Quinta, California, if you're in Anaheim Hills, California, every one of the cities has a housing market report. And we get a lot of the data from the most current available data from Redfin. So we pull all that stuff together, put it in a format that's easy to read to get the information in just 2 or 3 minutes, and we put it in there. So we should be getting updated data, and usually they release their data about the 5th to the 10th of the month. So we can update that so it's the most current data available. So go and check those out. If you look at our socials, every weekend we put that out for you. Let's see. What do we have next? Borrow Smart segment today, being brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. You may be sitting on a small fortune inside your home, and a big piece of that profit could land in your pocket completely tax-free. Most homeowners have no idea how much they actually get to keep. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's something that surprises people. When you sell your primary home, the IRS lets you keep a large chunk of the profit without paying federal income tax on it. If you're single, up to $250,000 of your gain can be excluded. If you're married and file a joint return, that number doubles to $500,000. A married couple can walk away with up to $500,000 in profit and owe zero federal income tax on it. Up to $500,000 and zero federal income tax. Yes, I said it. So what is the catch? There's a rule, and it's simple. You have to have owned the home and lived in it for at least 2 of the last 5 years before the sale. They do not have to be back-to-back years. They just have to add up to 2 years inside that 5-year window. One more rule. You cannot have already used the exclusion on another home sale within the 2 years before the sale. So you don't get to stack it back-to-back on multiple homes. Here's the part most people miss. If your profit falls under the limit, you may not even have to report the sale on your tax return at all, unless you receive a Form 1099-S or you do not meet the requirements. Now, what if you sold at a loss? I wish I had better news. A loss on the sale of your personal home is not deductible. Just how the rule works. Let me make this real. Picture a married couple here in Southern California. They bought their home years ago, and the market did what our markets tend to do. Today, they have around $500,000 in equity built up. Nationally, a number like that might be closer to $250,000, but California equity often runs about double the national figure. So this is very real for a lot of families here. If they meet the 2 out of 5 year rule, that entire $500,000 gain could be excluded from federal income tax. That is not a loophole. That is the rule working exactly as written. So what does this mean for you? It means the decision to sell is not just about the sale price. It's about timing, and it's about strategy. Selling a few months too early or using your exclusion on the wrong first home can cost you real money. This is why I always say strategy beats rate always. The same thing applies when you sell. The strategy around the sale can be worth more than the price you negotiate. There are also exceptions for people who do not pass the standard test. You may still qualify for some exclusion if you receive the home in a divorce settlement. A surviving spouse who has not remarried can count the time the deceased spouse lived in the home. Short-term absences can still count as time lived in the house. And for our military families, the 5-year test can be paused for up to 10 years while the spouse serves on qualified official expended duty in the military, the Foreign Service, or a federal intelligence agency. Even if you do not pass the full test, you might still get a reduced exclusion if you had to move because of a job change, a health issue, or an unforeseen event like a divorce. The rules have more flexibility than most people realize. Now, I want to be clear about something. I am not a tax advisor, and nothing I just said is tax advice. Your situation is your own, and the details matter. Before you sell, talks with a qualified tax professional who can look at your specific numbers. Here's where I come in. My job is the money side of this. Before you list, you should know your real equity, your blended household interest rate, and what your next move looks like. On one way I make that easy is rsrlinks.com/myhome. rsrlinks.com/myhome. Go there and I'll send you a report on what your home is worth, updated every month. That's rsrlinks.com/myhome. When you always know your home's current value, you're never guessing about your equity. What are you buying again? Are you keeping the home and pulling equity out instead? Are you helping a family member buy? The smartest sellers run the numbers before they make the move, not after. If you want a simple place to start, go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's rsrlinks.com/keysteps. It'll help you get your budget and your numbers organized so you can plan your sell with clear eyes instead of guessing. When you know your numbers, you make better moves. The bottom line is this: up to $500,000 of your home's profit could be yours to keep tax-free if you play it right. That's worth understanding before you ever put up a sign. I am Ron Siegel, your Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, 3 generations, 1 roof, 1 mortgage. The math most families miss. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 0186945.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. More families than ever are living under one roof. Parents, kids, and grandparents all sharing the same kitchen, the same driveway, and the same stack of bills. It can be one of the smartest financial moves a family ever makes. It can also start a lot of arguments. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Right now, multi-generational living is on the rise. People are pooling incomes to afford a home, care for aging parents, and give the next generation a head start. That is a good thing. But when 3 generations share a house, money can get complicated fast. So what does this mean for you? Start with priorities, not numbers. Before anyone talks about who pays what, sit down together and answer a few simple questions. What bills do we have each month? When are they due? Which ones are fixed and which ones have some give? Money is personal. A younger adult might feel awkward asking questions. A parent might feel like they have to carry everything. A grandparent might just want to do things the way they've always have. Get it all on the table first, then be fair. And here's the part people get wrong. Fair does not mean everyone pays the same amount. In most multi-generational homes, incomes are very different. Fair means each person contributes based on what they can actually carry. The higher earner might cover the big line items like the mortgage. A part-time earner might handle a couple of utility bills. Someone on the fixed income might cover a smaller bill or contribute in other ways, like cooking meals or watching the grandkids. That is real value too. Now, let me say something that might surprise you. When families pool their money, they spend a lot of energy arguing about the small bills, the streaming service, the phone plan, the grocery split. But the biggest bill in the house by far is the mortgage, and that's the one almost nobody strategizes around. Here's an example. Picture a family with a $655,000 mortgage. Here in California, where home prices run close to double the national average, that's a pretty ordinary number. At today's rates, the payments and interest on a loan that size can run thousands of dollars every month. So if you're going to split anything carefully, split that. Strategy on your largest debt will always beat penny pinching on your smallest one. This is where I want to introduce an idea most families have never heard. It's called your blended household interest rate. Most people think about the rate on one loan, but a household often carries more than one debt. A mortgage, maybe a car loan, maybe a credit card or two. Your blended rate is what all of that debt costs you together as one number. And when several earners live under one roof, that blended rate becomes a family number, not just an individual one. Lower the blended rate for the household and everyone under the roof benefits. That's the difference between eligibility and suitability. A lot of people can qualify for a loan, that is eligibility. The real question is whether that strategy fits your family's whole financial picture. That is suitability. And that is the work a certified liability advisor actually does. Once you have agreed on priorities and a fair split, keep the system simple. Some families pick one person to pay every bill and everyone else reimburses them. Others divide the bills so each person pays their own directly. Some set up a shared household fund where everyone adds their part each month. There is no single right answer. The key is to choose one system and stick with it. Tools like online bill pay, mobile deposit, and a clear shared record make it easier to keep everyone on the same page. And remember, this is not just about splitting costs. Supporting your family is something to be proud of. With open conversation and a simple plan, your household can manage money with confidence and actually build wealth together instead of just covering bills. Remember, strategy beats rate always. And when 3 generations share a roof, the strategy can change the whole family's future. If you want a simple place to start, I want to give you a free tool I offer to help families map out their budget and their next steps together. Go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's rsrlinks.com/keysteps. It'll help you see your priorities, your bills, and your plan all in one place. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. So we haven't done any giveaways in a while, Josh. We need to do that. I think we've got a few minutes, I think. So we did release our most recent version, our summer home buyer's guide, rsrlinks.com/HBG, rsrlinks.com/HBG. That's the summer edition of the home buyer's guide, rsrlinks.com/HBG. The summer edition of the home seller's guide, that's out too, rsrlinks.com/HSG. And you see that we did just roll out our newest version of our home report, rsrlinks.com/myhome, rsrlinks.com/myhome. Very, very comprehensive home value report, but more. It also sends you out things to do in your neighborhood this weekend. So that's part of the My Home tool that we give out. We also did a very short ebook on reverse mortgages, rsrlinks.com/rmbook, rsrlinks.com/rmbook. It's a reverse mortgage book that we just put out. I told you about earlier, rsrlinks.com/salesmax. You want to maximize the sales price of your property? rsrlinks.com/salesmax. That'll do it for you. And one of my favorites, we talk about this a lot on Ron Siegel Radio. rsrccpayment.com. rsrccpayment.com. We go through in that, and we're really showing you how to pay your credit card bills the most efficient way to maximize your FICO score. rsrccpayment.com. And later this week, we're coming out with a really cool brand new tool. It's going to show you, have you ever heard of paying off your debts through the debt avalanche method or the snowball method? Well, it turns out there's like 25 different methods for getting out of debt. Well, we're going to come up with one, or we have come up with one. We just have to get it in a consumer-facing platform that will actually show all 25 ways of getting out of debt. We call it the Debt Done Date, Triple D. Now, if you're like me and you like food, I know you're thinking diners, drive-ins, and something else. I don't even know what that is. Diners, drive-ins, and I don't remember. So diners, drive-ins, and dash. I don't think you're supposed to dash. But so it's Triple D, but ours is Debt Done Date. Debt Done Date. And we show you the 25 different ways. Now, some of them may not be relevant for you, and some of them may be relevant for you. But the bottom line is if you don't know how to do it, then what are you going to do? So we're going to show you, you put your mortgage in there, you put all your credit card debt in there, auto loans, student loans, everything goes in, and we crunch it all together, and you're going to get all of that data right back to you. So watch for that later on this week, and you can watch for it on our socials as well. So good stuff coming from Ron Siegel Radio. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.